Hey, what's going on, G-Ballers? Today, I have an exciting new knife here to share with you coming in from Trivisa. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your EDC is for today. Feel free to let me know the entire loadout. You always get a nice unboxing experience with Trivisa. You get some stickers, a microfiber cloth, microfiber pouch, and you get a card letting you know, hey, this thing has been QC checked. And of course, we have our knife. This is going to be the new Trivisa Dragonfly, at least new in regards to Trivisa. They don't put out a ton of new models every month or anything like that, but this is one of Trivisa's newer models. Now, what's really cool is they're doing these in a couple different variations. They have a G10 one that's down around 50 bucks, 52 bucks. They have an Ultim one at 66, and they have this copper one here with this cross-cut pattern for about $67. So very affordable still from Trivisa. They typically provide a good manufacturing and good fit and finish, along with very good materials, and they tend to keep the price very user-friendly. We're going to be looking at 14C 28N steel here, a really nice drop point, almost spear point like blade. We have dual thumb studs here for the deployment, nice sharpening choil cut in there, and the crossbar lock seems to be done very well. You get a good resistance there before you fire it off, and a nice closing action as well. And then those copper handles, this isn't a huge knife or a large folder. I'd say it's a mid-size. So those full copper handles, now they do have a little bit of milling in there, so this would be even heavier, but it gives this size knife a decent heft to it. So, you know, a lot of times if it's recessed steel liners and micarta or G10, it's not going to, in this size, feel all that robust. This is definitely going to give you a different feeling in your hand than other knives in this same size with those types of materials. Now, we are going to be looking at a really nice deep carry clip. They've used this before, and not only does it look great, but it functions well and it's ergonomic. It's also recessed into the scale with the double Torx there. It's also going to be left hand friendly, and they include a filler tab. Very nice job. And we have a lanyard hole for the lanyard fans through our aluminum backspacer there. That is matching all the hardware and blade. Now, what kind of size are we going to be looking at here with the Dragonfly? Very mid-size knife, I would say. The definition of a mid-size knife: 3 inches of total blade, 2 and 13/16 of cutting edge, down there at just shy of 6 3/4. So a very standard size. I would even say on the smaller end of medium. But one thing this actually does very well is it stays under. It's under 3 inches from tip to start of the scale. It's under 3. Clearly. So that is a great thing for people who like a little bit smaller knife, but more specifically to the people who live in areas, jurisdictions that require you to have a 3-inch and under blade, which is utterly ridiculous, but nonetheless, it exists, and at least there's options out there until you can get out of that tyranny. You have stuff like this that can at least get you going. Now, to put that in better perspective for you, we'll bring out some comparison knives here. We got the Bastide Raccoon up top there and the Kaiser Milital here on the bottom. And you'll see this knife is going to just be in that next level down from something like these knives here. Much more of a mid-size knife than a full size. How about something like the Kaiser Drop Bear or the Benchmade Bug Out? It's going to be more in line with something like the Drop Bear. I mean, it's a touch smaller than something like that, but it's going to give you that kind of same aesthetic and feel in hand The handle's not quite as tall as the drop bear, but it's going to give you heft like the drop bear doesn't in almost any case that the drop bear can be configured in, that it has been configured in. It's not going to have quite the heft that this knife does. Let's get the newest introduction of 50 Ways Baked In Hanks out here. Denver Broncos, baby. Go Broncos. That is what I'm talking about. We're going to get the Hank out for a reason, and that's to take a look at the pocket clip here, see what it looks like, see what the retention's like, and also discover what the aesthetics look like. And it's going to look good. You'll have a little bit poking out, but a very clean aesthetic. It's going to carry pretty deep, but I like that little indicator spot right there. Good retention on that clip, and you have that cross-cut milling right after the start or at the start of where the retention would be. We have the option for lefty carry, and I feel like, you know, this is going to be very ergonomic here as well. It is a clip I have seen them use in the past, but it's been on different size knives, but it is a good clip. It is one of the best budget knife clips that you can really get, in my opinion, and clip designs much like this one here. Vosteed does them well. There's quite a few companies that have really started to do a solid, affordable pocket knife clip. You know, there will come a time someday where that just won't even be in the discussion, and there will be people, men, kids, who never knew a bad pocket clip. That day will come, and that'll be crazy, because the fight that we have all put in to get all the things that knives are becoming and have become, people will definitely, and that's with any type of gear at this point. But yeah, people are, this is the start of the golden age of knives and gear. We're going to guess the weight here of this knife. I'm probably going to get it severely wrong. I invite you to guess along with me. Put it down in the comments. Let me know what you think this knife weighs with these copper scales here. Remember, there's a little bit of milling, but not a whole lot. And remember, copper has quite a bit of heft to it. I'm going to say, you know, and it really defeats the purpose of what you would anticipate. If somebody told you the dimensions of this knife without telling you the handle scales, you would say it's a lighter knife. It's a 3-ounce knife or somewhere in that ballpark. But it defeats what a lot of companies have aimed for. So I like what Trivisa is doing here. They're giving a mid-sized knife out there, but they're going against the norm and making it so it feels like it has a little bit of something to it. And I like that. I really do. And it's not overly done, right? Let's see here. I don't know. It's goofy. I guess I'm gonna shoot straight from the hip, right out of the side of my neck here. 4.5. No shit. No way. That's awesome. 4.4 if you didn't see, so 0.1 off. The last one I was like 0.5 off, which isn't really that bad, but for me, you know, that's a bit. I got my days, right? Just getting back into the groove of things after a couple of days not recording. 126 grams. It's been I would say, a devastating week over the last week or so, week and a half. But we shall prevail. 126 grams. And as I so eloquently said, it's going to be close to 4.5, and damn, it was. And really what that starts to tell me is this has, as I've said, it has a good weight to it, like 4.5 ounces, like 4 to 5 ounces. I'd say, you know, you have a good feeling knife, something that feels fairly substantial in the hand. And that's what this provides, even though it is a, smaller mid-sized knife. Now, we're going to be looking at 0.47 for our handle thickness. For our millimeter people out there, we're looking at 12 on the nose. As far as our blade stock, we're looking at 2.9 millimeters and 116 thousandths for the blade stock there. And we'll get a measurement here on our behind the edge. And that's coming down at a thin 17 ounces. And I missed it there. Let's go ahead and get back on and see what that is in fractions. 0.53 for the behind the edge. That's thin. That's well under average, which is 22, 23. We see that over and over again. So to be under 20, that's getting down there pretty thin. Let's see how the Dragonfly cuts out of the box. And we're going to use our catalog paper for this. Because this is a spear point, drop point style blade, it's going to be great for poking and piercing. It's a very versatile blade shape. A drop point like this here, very user friendly. 14C is going to also be user friendly. It's easy to maintain even for someone with little to no sharpening experience. Even if you have a little bit of a brain left in your skull, with a sharpening instrument or stropping instrument, you'll be able to get a usable edge back on 14C. It is insanely tough. Very tough. It has insane corrosion resistance, and it has good edge retention as well, especially when heat treated in its wide range, but its proper range. It is a great steel in my opinion, especially to get it in a $50 to $60 price point. And something like with copper, definitely a fair price. And if you can find these on the website, which I don't know if they're there or not. I know they're on Amazon, and I think they're on their website. But I do have a discount code for the Trivisa website in whole. Now let's run this through a hardware check. We have a non-tooled pivot here with their logo. Looks clean. Trivisa's always done a great job with not putting too much branding on their knives. We're going to be looking at what I thought was T8, but is actually T6 on the pocket clip and inlay screw, or insert screw there, I should say. Screw. T8 on the pivot though, and T6 everywhere else. I always recommend having good bits and good drivers, even though these should be T8s all the way around. And although all knives should be a T8 or a T10 all the way around, you're just not going to get that, at least in 2025. That is another thing that will someday change, that there will not be any use of T6 screws, and people in the future just won't know that struggle either, which is just interesting to think about. Now we're going to go ahead and give this a lock check. This blade is centered up. The springs in there are very nice, I should say. They did this in a nice couple of versions too. Copper for the antique fan, Altum for that fan of Altum. Why? I don't know, but that's cool. And then they have just a G10, a black G10 with a satin blade. The Altum is also a satin blade. So they got a couple of good finishes and a couple of good materials on this Dragonfly series. Now, we're going to go ahead and introduce the Dragonfly to the spine whacker. And I just heard the Dragonfly say, "Who's the spine whacker?" And I said, "You'll find out, buddy." And here we are. We'll start out towards the tip. We're going to give this a couple of love taps to get going, just to make sure it doesn't fail insanely easy. We'll go ahead. There might be a little bit of movement there, up and down, but nothing that translates into the blade moving. I can just feel kind of a little bit of rocking in there, just because of how crossbar locks are done, not a cause for concern, which I will show you here. Start off at the tip, couple of lighter taps to get us going, and we'll close it and check it. Make sure it ain't and make sure there aren't any issues that develop because of that. And we'll go into a triple tap there, and that puts a lot of stress on these blades. And crossbar locks are notoriously dependable locks. Not the strongest lock in the world or anything like that, but when done properly, they are very resilient and they're very dependable. I like crossbar locks. They're ambidextrous, and with proper springs in there, you can get a satisfying deployment off of them. You know, does it feel like a true detent? No. But you got to give up sometimes something to get something else. And in this case, you do lose that detent, but you do get the ability to have a ambidextrous dismounting of the lock. And you also have the ability here, and not like a liner or frame lock, to keep your fingers out of the pathway of that blade when you're closing it. Some people really look for something like that. So the crossbar lock is a great lock, fits this design very well. You'll have to let me know, is the copper Dragonfly something you could see adding to your collection? Is this the perfect size for what you're looking for? Or are you looking for something a little bit bigger? I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. That helps push the video out there to more people. I truly appreciate it. It helps more people find this video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy knives, EDC, and gear, make sure you subscribe, because I release videos like this every single day, and I'd love to have you here. I'll pop up a couple of new videos. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you all again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.